Have you ever heard your own name whispered by something that wasn't human? They call it Dead Man's Bridge. Rotted wood, rusted rails, and a river that's taken too many. Most people drive past it. I didn't. It was late, the fog thick as smoke, headlights useless. That's when I heard it, a voice in the mist.
Eddie.
I stopped. The bridge waited, dripping, groaning, alive. Each step echoed through the fog. The water below whispered and faces rippled across its surface, eyes staring, mouth smiling. Then the bridge moved, the wood twisted, nails screamed, and from the mist, pale figures climbed up. I ran. The planks snapped beneath me. Something grabbed my leg, cold as the river's heart. I kicked free, dove into my car, and drove until the fog disappeared. They say the bridge remembers every name it calls and never stops whispering. Sometimes, when the world is quiet and the wind slides through my window, I still hear it.
Eddie.
Tell me, if it called your name, would you answer? Ever feel eyes on you when no one's there? I bought her at a flea market. Porcelain, perfect, with a smile too human to be cute. The first night, I heard the floor creak. The second, she wasn't where I left her. Each morning, closer, watching, waiting. Then, one night, she blinked. Not a trick of light. A real, deliberate blink. She stood by my bed, eyes alive, lips twitching with its same crooked smile. Morning came. She was back on the shelf. Same pose, same smirk, but I swear, her head's turned just a little more. Maybe it's not the doll that moves. Maybe it's me, moving closer to whatever's inside her. And if you ever buy a doll with eyes that shine in the dark, don't look back. Ever wondered what happens in a hotel room after checkout when the room itself remembers who never left? Room 313. Cigarette burns in the carpet, a rotary phone that still hums, though the line's been dead for decades. I checked in after midnight, rain hissing against the window like static from another world. The air too still, too watchful. I noticed it first in the mirror. Just a flicker. My reflection smiled after I stopped. Yeah, that's when I should have left. But curiosity's a curse, isn't it? The TV turned on by itself. Snowstorm of white noise, a faint voice whispering beneath it, pleading, gasping, drowning. The wallpaper began to pulse, breathing like skin. And then, door slam, lights out. Something cold sat beside me on the bed, sheets dipped. The smell of wet earth filled the room. A hand, not mine, slid across my chest. I ran, but the hallway, endless. Every door led back to 313. Now, if you ever stay there, listen closely before you sleep. You might hear knocking from inside the walls. 3 times, always 3. And if the mirror smiles first, check out fast, because some guests never do. Have you ever realized that the friend you swore was imaginary was staring back at you? It began innocently. Little Carly, laughing in the corner of her room, talking to someone who wasn't there, or so we thought. The air smelled faintly of lavender and old paper, and sometimes, just sometimes, her laughter echoed in empty halls. Then the scratches started, on walls, on doors, always just beyond reach. Objects moved when no one was looking, shadows twisted unnaturally. I dismissed it, rationalized it, until the night I saw her standing at the foot of Carly's bed. Not a child, not imaginary, real. Eyes like black mirrors smiling. She whispered my name. My blood froze. Oh, and then in an instant she was gone, but the smell of lavender lingered, clinging to my skin. Some friends never leave, even when you wish they would. They say a house forgets, but this one remembers everything. The air here hums, like it's breathing. Dust hangs heavy, shaped like the people who once lived inside. Mother's lullaby still trembles through cracked walls. A chair rocks, slowly, though no one's near. Then, footsteps, upstairs, running. Laughter turns to screams, the lights flicker, and for a split second I see them, pale, waiting, welcoming. The floorboards whisper, stay. The door slams shut. My breath catches. Their shadows crowd closer, smiling with hollow warmth. Maybe they never left, or maybe I never will.
I was never supposed to stay the night. The cabin on Black Hollow Road was just supposed to be a pit stop, a quiet place to crash before heading to my buddy's hunting cabin in the morning. The old man who rented it out warned me, don't wander past the tree line after dark. The woods press close around the road, trees leaning inward like eavesdroppers. Inside, the cabin smelled of pine, dust, and something old, frozen in time. The air felt heavy, like the forest itself was listening. It started around midnight, a soft thud against the porch, then another. Footsteps, slow, uneven. I froze as the doorknob rattled gently, metal scraping like someone testing it. When I finally looked outside, the porch was empty, but footprints, bare feet, trailed off into the darkness. The whispering started around 2 a.m., voices from the trees whispering my name, then 3 soft knocks at the window beside my bed. I turned, and a pale face was pressed against the glass. Blank white eyes, a silent open mouth. The lamp flickered on, and it was gone. Only fog on the glass, and a single handprint. At sunrise, everything looked normal. I left fast. Later, at a gas station, the old man said the cabin had burned down 20 years ago. When I looked back down the road, I saw smoke rising between the trees, and in my rearview mirror, a pale face smiling in the back seat. So tell me, if that cabin really burned down, whose reflection do you think was in my window last night? I was the last one in the building that night, the old apartment block on Pine Street. My shift as a night janitor usually ended by midnight, but the elevator had jammed again, so I had to take the stairs down. When I reached the top floor, I noticed something odd. Every door was slightly open. The lights flickered, humming like they were tired of holding on. I'd never cleaned this floor before. The manager told me it was vacant, condemned even. But then, why were all the doors cracked open? And why could I swear one of them was breathing? I started hearing footsteps, slow, dragging, like someone walking barefoot on concrete. They echoed from the end of the hall, from that one door that was still closed. The sound grew louder with each step I took forward. My flashlight flickered, and I caught a glimpse of something. A hand pulling back behind the door, pale and shaking. "Hello?" I called out. My voice didn't sound like mine. No answer. Just that quiet. And then, whispering. My name. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. The door creaked like it hadn't moved in years, and a rush of cold air hit me. Inside, furniture covered in sheets, walls black with mold, and one old mirror leaning against the corner. And in that mirror, I saw myself. Only, it wasn't me. My reflection smiled first. Then it stepped out. The flashlight dropped from my hand, and I felt a hand grab my shoulder, cold, heavy, and wrong. When I woke up, I was sitting in that same hallway. The doors were all shut now. My mop, my cart, gone. And then I heard it again. Footsteps. Only this time, they were behind me. I turned to see someone walking toward the far end. He looked just like me. He didn't see me, just walked straight into the last room and closed the door. That's when I realized I was still inside. Would you have opened the door at the end of the hall? I never believed in ghosts, but when I took the caretaker job at Hollow Pine Cemetery, I started to wonder. The place was supposed to be abandoned, no burials for decades. Still, every night felt watched. The gate creaked when I pushed it open. The air smelled like wet stone and something older, like dust from forgotten bones. Moonlight spilled across the crooked gravestones, the names too faded to read. I told myself it was just another night shift. Just grass to cut, tools to lock up, nothing more. But then I heard it. Faint whispers drifting through the trees. They weren't carried by wind. They were speaking. I tried to ignore it, but the whispers grew louder, overlapping voices, some crying, some calling my name. I spun around, the lantern trembling in my hand. "Who's there?" I shouted. Silence. Then a cold wind brushed my neck. I felt the ground under my boots shift, soft, like it was breathing. I dropped to my knees, brushing away dead leaves, and saw it, a fresh patch of earth. But this cemetery hadn't had a burial in 40 years. The ground cracked open with a dull thud, not like a hole, more like something pushing up. I stumbled back, heart hammering. A hollow voice whispered right in my ear, "You shouldn't be here." Then the graves began to sing, hundreds of voices moaning together, rising from the earth in one horrible harmony. Faces pressed through the dirt, pale, eyeless, silent, just staring at me. I screamed and ran, but the whispers followed, echoing inside my head. Stay. Stay with us. I made it to the gate, slammed it shut. But when I looked back, the cemetery was silent again. The graves untouched, the wind still. I told the sheriff the next morning what I saw. He just frowned and said, Son, there ain't no graves in Hollow Pines anymore. They moved them 50 years ago. I went back that night, just to see. The earth was flat, no stones, no names, nothing. But as I turned to leave, I heard them again. You came back. If the graves were never there, then who was whispering my name? I was driving home from work when my girlfriend Emily texted me, Can you come over? I need you. It was strange. She'd been quiet all day after our argument that morning. I tried calling her, but no answer. Her house was about 20 minutes away, down a quiet rural road, the kind of road where the streetlights don't work, and your headlights barely pierce the darkness. Something about that text felt off, but I went anyway. Emily's house sat alone at the end of the road, surrounded by tall oaks. One window was glowing, her bedroom light. I knocked. No answer. The front door creaked open on its own. Inside, the air was thick, humid, and smelled like rain and dust. My phone buzzed. A new message from Emily. I'm upstairs. But I could see the faint shadow of someone already standing at the top of the stairs. Emily? I called out. The figure didn't move. My phone buzzed again. Another text. Don't go upstairs. My stomach dropped. The figure slowly tilted its head. A low creak followed as it stepped forward, its bare feet making no sound on the wood. My phone slipped from my hand, landing face up on the floor. The flashlight from it lit the stairs. And I saw her, or what was left of her. Her face was pale, eyes black and empty, lips moving silently. My phone buzzed one last time beside me. She's not alive. I bolted out the door and didn't stop running until I reached my car. I locked the doors, shaking, trying to breathe. My phone lit up again. One new message from Emily. Why did you leave? I just got home. I looked back at the house. The upstairs light turned off. Then, one by one, the others came on. If the last text wasn't from her, then who's in the house now? They say every theater has one seat where the dead still come to watch the show. I learned that the hard way. The night I sat in the third row. It was supposed to be a quiet night. Old theater, late showing, maybe 6 people scattered in the dark. The air smelled of dust and velvet, the kind that clings to your throat. The film flickered to life, and then it stuttered. The screen went black, and someone breathed behind me. Not beside me, not across the aisle, behind me. I turned. The row was empty. My seat creaked back like someone had just leaned forward, close enough to whisper. I could feel the air move, cold, damp, intentional. Then, the projector roared to life. Only the movie wasn't the same. It showed the theater. That night. Me. Sitting in the third row. A shadow standing right behind my chair. I ran. Didn't even look back. You ever feel like the dark is chasing you? Like it knows your name? When I burst into the lobby, the attendant just smiled. Oh, she said softly. You must have sat in it again. Every screening since, there's one seat no one touches. The third row, middle seat. Always cold, always waiting. So if you ever go to the old Rialto Theater, don't sit there. Because sometimes the audience isn't entirely alive. Because tell me, if a seat is empty, does that really mean no one's sitting in it?
Thanks for watching C&T Horror Story. If you enjoyed this tale of terror, like, share, and subscribe, and remember the next story might be waiting for you.